Hello, it's Katie. This is Halloween card series number 4, and we're actually going to make 4 little 4x4 cards with these guys. I had already had them stamped from when I got this set and colored in a little bit, so I did finish the coloring since it takes a little bit of time and I don't want to edit the video. So these are some of the colors. I thought these are some really cute ones. The pink part of her dress is the RV14 Copic marker, and it's called Begonia Pink. I just thought that was a really cute pink. The flesh on those guys is that fruit pink that I used on the mummy in the last one as well. And the yellow for her hair is that Y02, the canary yellow. And then for the really light gray on the mummy, I didn't fully color it in, but I did some shading along the bottoms of the lines, is the N1 neutral gray. Wonder if that'll focus. Anyway, so those are colored in. I'm going to die cut them out, so we will do that part. And I have the papers that I'm going to use. One of these is Doodlebug Design Happy Harvest. The other side is owls. So I'm going to be using the orange polka dot. And then I have some purple scrap paper that I apparently cut the word birthday out of. And that's going to go along with that as well. But I have the 4 note cards I already did. So they were an 8x4 and I scored it at the 4-inch. So now they're just a 4-inch square. And then, so I'll set the little guys aside and we'll do the bottom of these first. So I'm going to put the orange along the bottom. So I'm going to cut a strip out of this so that I can do that. And it's not quite half of the card, so it won't really be 2 inches. I think I'm going to do 1.75 inches. Maybe you can see that. For along the bottom. And I'll just cut a couple of these. That should be fine to cover both cards going across. Alright, so what I'll do is, this is actually, since it's 4 inches across, I could probably cut these at 4 inches as well with my paper trimmer, so I think I'll do that. Cut it at 4, and we'll get 4 of these. That one's probably not quite long enough, so we'll use our other strip. Cut another one at 4, and the 4th one. Alright, so with my tape gun, we'll take the back of it and run the tape along there. And we'll stick that along the bottom opening of the card. Just try and line it up on one corner along the bottom, and it usually ends up okay on the other side. Okay, so we'll do that to all 4 of them. And I usually use a lot of adhesive. I see a lot of people only putting some around the outside, but I always run one through the middle. I do want it to stick down, so I want to make sure it's covered. Okay. Actually, and you can, if you don't want to do it while it's folded, you can open this up and line it up. That way you can see the black disappear kind of behind the orange too. Might make it easier. And this is one of those where I actually accidentally scored it. Like I got off the score track and I scored the back. So this will be the front, even if the back is a little longer. I can always trim that if I really wanted to. Sometimes I get too far away from the edge too, so I go back and give it some more. Then just line that up with the edge, and we've got all of our card bases with the orange along the bottom, which is what I was looking for. And then for another part, we're going to do some purple, and I want to cut that into strips as well. So I'm actually going to trim off that top part and then just cut some strips this way. And I'll need about, I want to say, an inch or so. I think that should be okay, maybe even less. I'll do 3/4 of an inch. And you'll see what we're doing with this one in just a second. So we'll just need the 4-inch strips of this going across as well, so I'll probably pre-cut those into 4. Just want to make sure we've got the edges covered, so I might go a tiny minuscule speck over 4 just to be safe, because I was seeing some black on the edges with the orange, so just want to make sure that's covered. And then with the Big Shot, I want to run through the Pretty Pink Posh border die. I'm going to do the zigzag one. I'll call it zigzag. There are 2 others that come in the pack, and it's just a really handy pack of border dies. There's the curved edge one that I used on the butterfly card, and then there's a scalloped one as well. So we'll be using the zigzag for this Halloween set. So what I need to make sure is that this is straight, and I can put it right about there. I could also stick it down with a post-it note as well, but that should be fine. And I should probably run it through the other direction. It just feels a little odd going through like this. Maybe stick it through like that instead, but I don't think it really matters. That one turned out okay. So that's what that'll look like. Okay. So I'll put this one going across as well. It'll just have one big clip instead. And then we have our second one. I'll just do the last 2. And our third one, then we'll do the 4th one. Okay. I'm not really measuring where I put these, just kind of eyeballing it a little bit. And then just use the plate slowly to hold it in place so it doesn't move. And then we've got our 4th border. So I think I'll run through the little guys here while I have the Big Shot out. And I have my Bootastic die set from Mama Elephant that matches the stamp set, which is that one there. And I'm going to be using this sentiment on all 4 cards. It's just the one that'll fit the best for what I'm doing. And based on what it says, it's pretty generalized too. So we'll get all these guys out. So the only one I'm not doing today is the witch here, but I will do those 4. Alright, so for Dracula, we'll center his. I might want to use a post-it to hold these down. just so because I've already colored it in, I don't want to have to do that again. So I'll stick him down. Then we've got our Dracula. Next we'll do the princess. And then she's cut out. I'll do the mummy. Run him through. And then the Frankenstein. And when I colored these in, I really didn't do any blending. I've heard people say in videos, like even Jennifer McGuire will be like, oh, I don't really use Copics like they're meant to be used, but then she'll actually do some blending. I don't even do that much. I sadly sometimes treat them like Crayola markers, so which you probably shouldn't do with a $6 marker. Okay, so now I can set aside those guys. And I don't believe I'm die cutting anymore, so I'll set that aside as well. Okay. So then for these, I actually want to round the corners here. So I'm going to find my corner punch. Clearly buried. Alright. So with this one I would do one layer at a time. This will cut through both of these just fine. But I usually just look through the back, make sure it's in the corner there, and then that comes out just fine. And then do the back fold. I'll just do that to all four. And this corner punch by EK Success has actually worked out really well. I'm surprised it punches through a couple layers. You just have to push a little bit harder, but it doesn't ruin it or anything like that, so it works really nice. And get the back corners. Let me try that one again. Okay. And then the fourth one. Alright, put those to the side. So we've got all our four rounded orange cards. Kind of look like candy corns. Okay, and then before I stick down this here, which is going to be kind of the border seam there, we're going to do the sentiment here, but I'm going to emboss it. So I'm going to use the little embossing buddy to help with the static. I'm just going to really do the upper right corner because that's the only place I'm stamping, and I'll just make sure that I make sure the powder doesn't get to the other corners. And then I have my Versamark watermark ink and the sentiment that we're going to be using, which is the Bootastic one. And I'll probably just stamp all four. This stuff stays pretty wet, so I'll stamp all four of them and then just put the powder on and then heat them one by one. So I'll put this in the upper right. It's kind of hard to hold a card down while trying to make that straight, which that one was not. That was a little better. Okay. And then the last one there. Okay, then I'll get my printer paper to put under this so we can put powder on all of them. And I have the Paper Source white embossing powder that I got a while ago. I don't remember when. And then I'll just kind of drop it on the corner and tap that off. And that looks fine. And if you flick it, a lot of it can come off, so you want to be careful with that. Leave that to the side. Do the same for this one. And just tap the edge of the card. That should be enough. Missed a little there. Okay. Alright, so then I will put the powder back in a little tub. I had some powder go flying, so I'll get that off of there. And then I will just heat emboss each of these till they're melted. And so I'm going to run my gun there for a little bit. Okay, this was the one that was a little crooked, but that's not too bad. Alright, so I'll zoom in a little bit so we can show the border that I'm going to be putting on here. Okay, I'll just use my tape runner on the back of this, and then we'll put the border in the middle. Just run a couple lines of that. And this should go across just at 4 inches, just fine. And some of these may be a little bit longer, so I can always trim off the end there with my scissors. From the back, it's a lot easier to tell what you're trimming. And this one may be a little bit, just a tiny bit. Okay. Okay. And the fourth one. Okay, alright, so we have all of those looking very Halloween-y. And then each of these guys is just going to go right about here, but I will pop them up on some foam tape, so we'll do those. Alright, so I just want to cut some to the right size. And that should be good enough to hold them up. They're pretty sturdy on their own, just as the cardstock as well. So we've got that one. You can see it's popped up a little bit there. And then we'll do Frankenstein. And I can cut some skinny enough for his legs. So I'm using my 3M foam tape roll so I can cut it from here as thin as I need to. So we'll pull off those. And the big one. And then we'll stick him down. And then the mummy, which I actually had stamped. That looks kind of funny. The Dracula on the back of that paper. So he has Dracula on the back of him. It's pretty thick cardstock, so that didn't show through. Even if I had colored it, it probably wouldn't have shown any of that either. And then I'll just put one little square on his foot. Okay, take those off. And this little edge here, I'll just trim that because you can kind of see it coming out. And then we'll stick him down. And Dracula. Probably put some smaller squares on his feet, so I might do that. Okay, oops, make sure that actually sticks down. Okay, and then we'll peel these off. And then stick him down to the card, and that is the set. So we have those 4 guys. I'll zoom out a little bit. And that's all of them. Alright. Thank you for watching, and come back for number 5.